Yeah. And how are you feeling in terms of the teaching? Do you feel like it's been extra work for you, or do you feel that reward from doing it this way?
Probably, look, I've definitely transferred, having set out with, I guess, the personal social responsibility stuff. That was the part I was comfortable enough
Yeah.
with the system instruction, but just to bring it in, I guess they're not the group I had weren't particularly. They don't care too much for other people. That's why I thought, when I read about it in the first place, I thought, yeah, well, it's a good opportunity. But I've been able to use that in other classes now. So, strangely enough, I've sort of embedded it a bit into science classes as well, which was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess because I teach in two subject areas, I've actually been able to have some of my colleagues who aren't phys ed to actually come and participate and see, I guess, what was going on. And I guess the good part was that sometimes being a phys ed, you struggle to get a bit of credit in the system, I guess. And it was nice to have a few science teachers, I guess, vouch for the fact that they said, "Gee, it's actually quite scientific, the approach," and it's probably offered a little bit more, I don't know, a bit more respect within our school at least from doing that.
Wow, that's
Yeah, I guess the personalised system instruction itself, no, but incorporating that into that was, yeah, definitely the first time. And look, it's it's certainly not, I guess, the big grandiose way you could do it. It's small steps, and even just letting them know that there's different levels that you can use, I guess, to point out behaviours and how we can modify and change. I said, like, that's been the best part. And if anything, it's the best part is it's given a language for me to use with the kids. Um, and it's nice in return. Sometimes I might, just as a teacher, I guess, helping out kids, and you might step in, and for them to acknowledge that your contribution has a level attachment, that's also happened as well. So a kid will say, "Oh, that's a good level 2 or a good level 3," and I guess they're pointing it out not only in each other, but I guess when the teachers help them out in that way too. So that's been really nice.
anything you want to say, Al?
Um, no, it sounds great. I was just thinking then when you said that they were level 2 or level 3, and I'm just equating that to, um, the, are you working off Hellerton's model?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So these kids are learning biomechanics and are working at level 2. That's, what's that? That's level 3 in
Um,
involvement, isn't it?
well, yeah, like I guess, like
Level 2 involvement, level 3 is
I guess
independence.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
guess I sort of I tried to set it up in a way that obviously there was a group structure for one, but then being able to take that working from the group, the idea was the way I set it up. They'd be working in that format, but then it's instead of group analysis, they might do the individual analysis, and then I guess come back into that group setting and share their analysis.
Right.
And I guess, yeah, that was the part that I wanted to do because I guess in phys ed I've seen a lot of group work that gets done, and I guess unless you have that structure in place for individual, I guess accountability, kids can slide through. They can be the most brilliant performers, but if they can't articulate it, then I
Right.
guess it's an assessment issue that we we sort of we worry about anyway at our school too. So
So
yeah, I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
when you are talking about things like individual accountability, will that
I can see elements that have come from. You can easily see a lot from different models, I guess. But I guess long term, I'd like to see that also, I guess, permeate out into, I guess, the concepts to help build that culture.
The Helliston stuff always starts with awareness talk. Do you do much of that at the start of the lesson, making them aware of those levels and?
Yes. What I put in place, I made just a short Google form straight away. The kids either before, like I might send a little announcement out to the kids and fill out how are you going today, where are you at today, whether it be for in phys ed or in something else. I guess just the acknowledgement of where they're at it before they walk into the class and at the start of class. So I guess that's the thing that the other people around in the faculty have started to pick up on. So it's it's definitely, I've been told, geez, this was quite radical by our department. So they're a little bit cautious, of course, like probably what was mentioned previously when we've
Yeah.
chatted, I guess. So
And so is it just you delivering it at the moment, Brad, or is there other faculty members? You said about science seem to be open to it, but no one else has really embraced what you've come up with?
I guess the size of our school, and it's difficult to, I guess, to get ideas to transfer out.
Yeah.
We're very, I guess, compartmentalised in our school. We don't really have many central offices to work together.
Yeah.
So you do tend up to be in little pockets. And
Yeah.
I guess like I go and drop in on a lot of other people's classes, like from phys ed and like through our sport and rec programs and things like that. And like it's slowly coming in. I guess
Yeah.
just the awareness, just where are we at today, and
Yeah.
I guess it's been adapted a little bit to suit different teachers, but I think
Yeah.
the concept of it is there.
Yeah.
So have you got many kids working at level 4? You said that you had a bit of trouble getting your kids buying into it, but
Yeah, I guess that's where obviously the skills are transferred from what you're picking up here and going out and I guess out into the community. And look, yes, I've had two cases. We've got two kids who do football umpiring, and I guess they even just it was the discussion when we were talking about like where are we at today and what level do you think you've achieved, and that's sort of how I lead the discussion. A couple of kids mentioned that in the football umpire ranks they've been promoted, and they said, well, we've taken some of the things we're learning from biomechanical analysis, and they were showing the 14, 15-year-old kids showing some of the senior umpires the technology we're using and
Wow.
how they went about it, and they come back and they were like, well, yeah, actually that was pretty good. So and one of them's won an umpires award now
Oh,
for
Brad, that's
his year
great.
doing that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's ultimately that's that kid
Yeah.
connection, and
But
I guess
still.
what a bonus.
Yeah, that's great. So if so your goal, how to effectively blend instructional models to meet local needs. So if you had to say how you've done that effectively, what do you think has been effective in your teaching? Sorry, I just can hear someone at my door. It's okay.
Well, I think the probably the most effective is the consistency of the discussion. Like that, I've been really consistent in at the start saying where are we at today, and I guess it's a nice feeling that I guess for most kids they're searching for all the good stuff. So before we head off and do something that might be a little challenging, and the material's pretty heavy for the age group.
Yeah.
Um, especially like we're looking at the approaches to analysis, and we're trying to set them up nicely for latter years by introducing it. But that's definitely been the best thing is consistent um, with that introduction part, and I guess just from the enjoyment perspective that I can get out of it, it's constantly acknowledging it as you go.
Yeah.
So without getting into it too too much depth. I guess that's been effective, and I could see working with those kids in the future. You can just build on that, and
Yeah.
I guess that's how I see it unfolding further, and sharing that with my colleagues as well. I definitely suggest they do that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sorry, go Antonio. No, go.
Could you just repeat? Sorry.
How long is the unit going to last, Brad? Or how long did it last?
Finishing up in about a week and a half's time.
It was 10 weeks.
I guess the good part, yeah. I started week 2 of term 3, and then I guess the transition. What I'm hoping to do is we're doing group fitness next,
Okay.
and I'm hoping, like I've been talking to kids about, like taking opportunities to, to get a level, and how can we do that? So as a part of, I've sort of been prepping them as they're finishing the work off. Just I guess, just the idea that it doesn't just fit what we were doing, and just saying, well, now it can exist in this.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I'm at next. I'm planning that unit of work.
So based on so you're doing that based on what you've done now with the same kids?
Yeah.
So with your year 9 pass kids?
New unit of work, yeah, and then I guess the little checklist thing I've sort of set up, like from the book itself. I sort of took a few of the ideas out and had little check-ins where they might, acknowledge levels, and as part of working through each module, they're searching for those opportunities to highlight them in themselves.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just trying to read a bit further and
so
blend in those opportunities.
I guess so from a PEPLC, this PEPLC point of view, the idea is for us to obviously have supported each other. That this term has just gone, and I don't feel that we've had a chance to do that. So I guess in terms of moving forward and looking at how we can maybe support other people that are hoping to do this, I guess if we think about other people that might be following in your footsteps, or if you are looking at sort of trying to help your faculty move on, what sort of advice or what steps you've talked about the checklist, how would you go about it? How would you go setting it up, or what are you going to do to change for next time? Shall I just stop asking questions and maybe let you ask one of them, answer one of them? Good interviewing techniques, Cal.
I guess just the little things I've put together. That the number one thing is what I have been doing is inviting my colleagues into the classroom.
Okay.
And I prep them on what's happening and the approach to it. They come in from that emphasis of looking for, I guess, I've asked them, I've sort of gone through what the levels are, and I've asked them to get involved in just as the kids are completing the tasks and having those discussions with the kids. And so it's what it's really doing is it's opening them up to, I guess, identifying that, and then the kids, I guess, providing a lot of the learning for a few of the colleagues, and I guess they can see that they're sort of, I guess, they enjoy picking out, I guess, where they are and why they get that level. And look, we don't have any formal thing, that we don't have any awards in place or anything like that. It's just the acknowledgement and that personal satisfaction that they can take is what the emphasis is.
Yeah.
And I guess I've shared the resources I've got, so I've just sort of passed them on and said, well, how about if you're going to do it, I'll come in and I'll do the opposite.
Yeah.
Come in and support that in that way. So
it's really coming across of how much you've got out of it, Brad. I think that's what I'm hearing as well. That's so lovely, is that you've got so much out of seeing the kids get so much out of it. And I remember you saying at the start that these kids were a particularly challenging group of kids. So that's That's really, really nice
Yeah.
to hear. So I'm going to just go back. I am recording this, so I'll just check over it before I publish it or take some minutes from it. So your learning goal was to develop an understanding of the effects of blending instructional models, to provide an example to school PE faculty and to the PEPLC community, effects on teaching practice, preparation and student engagement. So wow, that was a big goal. No, it's good. It sounds to me like you've achieved that goal in that 10-week period of time. So I think that's awesome, Brad. Like kudos to you. You've done a lot of work in that. It was this going towards your masters?
Actually, no.
No. Yeah.
But it's sitting in the back pocket.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess it's an area of interest. I just thought it like knowing that there's different models out there and stuff. I've always thought, I'd like to. I guess lots of teachers kind of pigeonhole themselves into,
Yeah.
I guess, a certain model that they like to work in. And I
Yeah.
guess more than anything for my colleagues that I work with, I was hoping to, I guess, find those little things that can connect, so we can maybe be a bit prepared to, I guess, step across and try something different and know it's not a huge risk, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I've just been asked, because I haven't got enough work to do, just been asked to present for my colleague at a conference coming up about their integration of TGFU, sports ed and cooperative learning. And it was really interesting to see how they went about it. They would probably be my three preferred models. And just with our third year PE students here, and just the process that they've gone through is unbelievable. So what I'll do is, once I've presented, I think I'll have to wait to present. I might send that obviously with their permission, send that PowerPoint to you so that you can have a look at that, and just just to get an idea of how they pieced it together. And they went through five different phases, so it's really established now. And our whole first year, second year is building on the integration of these three models, so that by the third year they have this composite model of the three, and that's one of their major assessments. And they have to go through, and they do it in like line games, so like frisbee and AFL and whatever. And I was just looking at it today, and I think I'm similar to, I get stuck in that TGFU box because that was where my passion was, and that's where I feel comfortable. Obviously I bring in some sports ed and whatever, but I think I'm really interested in the fact that you've had the success with it, the integration, and looking at what these third years have come up with. It's like they're amazing. I want to employ them straight away. It's really, really good. Al, have do you teach integration with your students, or do you just teach?
I suppose we come in from a slightly different angle, which I think Brad's probably sort of demonstrating that, in the sense that we wouldn't probably teach it as a model that we want our students to do. We would sort of promote the idea of inquiry and be led by inquiry.
Okay.
So, that normally starts with the teacher asking, what's the important stuff to teach? What do we need to know? So that's like what we call the focusing inquiry. And then the teaching inquiry. So once we know what we want to teach, what are the forms of sort of strategies and models that might help us do that? And then there's a learning inquiry. So
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking about for Brad. So often classes look busy, kids are enjoying themselves, but what's the evidence of that this is actually making a difference?
Yeah.
And so that sort of spirals around, and I think that's where it's really good to start, from my mind, to come in from that inquiry approach rather than starting with, say, I want to try this model. Like, it's okay to say I'm going to try this model. But like you said, don't pigeonhole, don't get stuck in everything I'm going to do is
Yeah.
Teachers always got to be thinking, because nothing works in every situation for every kid.
Yeah.
So you've got to constantly be trying something new, thinking about it, and be prepared to toss out what the way we've always done things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Brad's doing.
Yeah, I think so. And you know that I think we've talked about the Dyson and Casey. They did the cooperative learning and TGFU and that integration, and it's just interesting to see what elements as you as a teacher choose to put in there, what you select, and like you say, being willing to check out some things. I know, like with sports ed, that we talk about, we must have these different roles, and the seasons is what usually goes and whatever. Did you find that you did that, Brad? There were certain things that you didn't bother with, or
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just initially what I originally planned to do. It just become completely overwhelming,
yeah,
and I just and as was mentioned before, like to be able to, I guess, collect the evidence that suggests it's working. That was hard the way I'd had it set up,
okay,
and I guess coming up with like a little Google form that I could get the kids to just start identifying whether it be at the start or at the finish of a class. This is what I've achieved, and I didn't put any parameters that had to be from the class. It was always, I guess, how have you taken something from here and
yeah,
from learning about this? How have you used it? And that was, I guess, that's just the emphasis. And
yeah,
if anything, I've learned more about the kids. Like,
wow,
there's a kid. He's got a Facebook page about fishing that I never would have known, and
yeah,
he's
oh,
out there encouraging people with that. it's it's nice to hear it. It's certainly kept my motivation up. We're getting towards the end of the year, and I guess to hear more and more of this as we work through it, it's the motivation's there to continue.
yeah. And that's such a positive influence on your teaching practice and for their engagement. I think that's a really lovely thing to come out of it. Oh, I want to go back into the classroom and try it myself.
I think one of the wonderful things about that approach is that you're differentiating learning, aren't you, and really thinking about what's important for each kid. But as you say, it is so difficult to actually achieve. And I remember struggling in terms of thinking like, well, if you're at level 0, I couldn't have those kids too far away, so they had to be with me all the time. And the level 4 kids, well, you can go on the other side of the paddock and you can be by yourself out over there. And of course, then we got all the level 0 kids saying, well, how come John's way over there? Which is a perfect teachable moment to say, well, you are at a different level of responsibility. But it also meant that as a teacher, you had all the kids who were the problem kids with you all the time.
Not as enjoyable.
Yeah, so it was, in a sense, I really liked that because, when you were starting to, the basis for awareness talk, starting to talk about responsibility, which is just something we normally talk about. And it's going back a bit, but I certainly remember in the school I was teaching at, you could really see anyone who'd come from what I call one of our private schools. And in our private schools, the boys are normally only do what they're told, and will only behave because they've been watched. And in our school, they've been through sort of our program for a long time, so you could see in the group over to the other side of the field, and they might be practicing something, and you didn't have to watch them; they know they'd be doing it. You could always spot the private school kids because if you weren't there, they were mucking around, and it was all you get to go across and explain to them, look, maybe we just don't do that here. If I ask you to do something, I don't have to watch it all the time. So that always highlighted to me how important that concept was of we expect kids to behave, but we often don't spend a lot of time talking about those things about what is responsibility, why are you behaving like this, and how it builds the group cohesion and how it improves their learning. And at the end of the day, that's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's Oh, Antonio, we love to listen to that beautiful accent of you. It's I know you are more TGFU and sports ed, aren't you? So it's great for me to be listening to this because they're not models that I'm too familiar with. I've just put the link up as well of bless Mike. He's written a whole blog. So sorry, the last thing that you can see, the Google Docs, is the links to our learning goals. But the one that says blog post, peer teaching, I'm not sure if you can get that. Mike has written a whole blog post on his peer teaching. Can students really peer teach? So I haven't even a chance to read that yet, but he's done some great work there. He's included his research, how he's undertaken the research, and remember, I think Mike's working on his masters with this too. So that will be an interesting read. He's got lots of Wallhead and Sullivan in there. Oh, gosh, I feel like I know that article off by heart at the minute. So so I guess what's that?
Is that Tristan? Tristan Moorhead.
Isn't it? And Mary O'Sullivan.
Mary O'Sullivan and Tristan.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hoping that we can try and catch up a bit sooner and have Mike. I know that Bernardo has been really sick, and I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. Brendan, I haven't heard much from, so I'm not sure where he's gone either. But I guess we'll set up in a month. You've got holidays. We'll be on holidays this side for Christmas for our summer holidays. So that will be nice. But I guess in terms of our future direction as a PE community, we obviously need to move forward and keep supporting each other or supporting others. Any suggestions, any points? I think it would help if we had spoken last month rather than me moving around the country again. So, Brad, any suggestions for future directions for us, how we can support you or how we can work as a community?
I just like it's just really nice to hear. I guess the different experiences. That's
Yeah,
like you can draw so many parallels in your experience, and it's nice to I guess like for myself, I'm one of a relatively large staff who I don't know. I probably am a risk taker in that group, and it's nice. You don't feel so alone, and that's
yeah.
I guess that keeps you motivated, and to know that there are other people out there experiencing it and or have been through it, and it's like coming to therapy.
Yeah. Oh dear Lord. Does that mean you're going to pay us lots of money, Brad? Well, from my point of view, I just feel really inspired when I listen to you out there trying new things, and it keeps me on my toes because, especially because I'm studying within that TGFU professional learning realm, I feel like I am stuck in a box at the moment. So it's really lovely to hear what you're doing and the ideas, and I guess thinking how I can apply it to my new context that I'm in as well. So I'm really grateful to hear from you, and it's lovely to hear from you. I feel like I dominate the conversation most of the time. So Antonio, ways forward for us as a PEPLC community. Yeah, 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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he has firm beliefs and values in what they, he's established. Yeah, yeah. So he showed you what he was teaching, what he has done since you've helped him to try and shift his teaching practice. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's Ashley Casey's. She was his student. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Antonio, I was with my staff for 4 years doing TGFU, and I rang them up and I said to them, I'm going to come and run a TGFU workshop. And they said to me, what does TGFU stand for, Cal? 4 years. 4 years. So you can take your prolonged unit to 4 years of prolonged units. I won't say what choice words I said to them, but when I walked across the quad and seen 15-a-side volleyball, it wasn't a great look. So so yeah, well, I'm hearing you. And look, Antonio, that's, I've just been trying to do my literature review now, and you're certainly not alone, are you? That's, that's echoed in the literature. So yes, yes, I'm definitely hearing you. But it doesn't mean that you have to give up, Antonio. Doesn't mean that you have to give up. Just keep going. Yeah. Okay.
That kind of reminds me. There's an old sort of parable of somebody goes to a party and loses their contact lens, and then the host comes in and says, "What are you guys doing?" Because they're all on the ground looking around. Um, and he says, "We're looking for the contact lens." And he said, "Oh, why? Did you drop it over there?" And the person said, "No." Well, why are you looking over there? He said, "The light's over here. I actually dropped it on the other side of the room." What that means to it might not make. At times, I think, in terms of our research on teaching, are we looking in the wrong spot at times? And I know that's what the experience that Antonio's had, the experience that you're looking at, Kelly. I think so much of teaching was predicated on this rational idea that
Yeah.
once you tell someone what to do, they'll go away and do it. And what Brad's doing there, it's a constant matter of adjusting because
Yeah.
the context is so different.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy job. So somehow we've got to flip that over and
Yeah.
start with the teacher's
Yeah.
ideas and beliefs.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if they've been successful for 20 years, something's working for them. It's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
To regress to that,
Yeah.
environment and how they adapt to the environment.
Yeah.
So,
And
and that's a blind spot for us. We don't know much about that.
yeah, and I know, like we've talked about it too, Al. I get frustrated because I think that they should be doing this way, and the way I've taught my staff is completely different to how I believe I should be teaching my students. I'm using these lovely student-centered constructivist pedagogies, yet with my staff I'm not. I'm like, come on, do it this way. Watch me, copy me, do this, and it really it really isn't the best way for them to learn. And we, like you say, maybe what they're doing does work for them and it's okay for them. It's very hard for me to say and accept that, but yeah, it's yeah, yeah, well, it's easier. It's easier, yes, it's more efficient and it's easier. And yeah, so I guess from a PEPLC point of view, have you had a chance to watch any of the other stuff that's been going on? I've been completely out of touch for about a month now. So, have you, Brad?
Look, as much as I can,
Yeah,
obviously I was trying to finish off my study for
yeah,
this year,
yeah,
but yeah, it's I can see it's ticking along.
yeah,
I just happened to see they were discussing portfolios for assessment, so I've had
yeah,
a bit of a look at that stuff.
yeah.
I'm certainly going to incorporate that into
Well,
actually
yeah, I was thinking about
data
assessment.
collection.
Yeah. And just to have that portfolio at the end. I know that in year 9 we do, I'm just thinking because you're in year 9 past, we do these learning journeys where the kids collect their portfolio of work throughout the year, and then they decide at the end of year 9 what they will present to be their assessable grades, which is, it's so lovely to think that you've given them the responsibility of choosing what they want to be assessed in, which is Sportfolio does a great job of that. One of the, I can't think what his name is, Mark Kempton, I think he's over in Melbourne with you on Twitter. You're in Melbourne, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, Mark Campton or something. He does loads of stuff on the Sportfolios, and I've just worked with him about developing assessment around GPAI, the games performance assessment and that, and he's got some great stuff up there on that. So yeah, so I haven't had a chance to look at what the other guys have been up to, but I know Nick. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name, over in Canada. He's putting an app together for us. So I don't know if you've seen that, but just to try and contact and have all of the audio, all of the YouTube clips all on an app. He's the one that has the TGFU app out as well that we've spoke about with Tim. Yeah, so Gracious Wolfie is on Twitter, so I'll keep you posted about that too. So I might just round up here. What I'll try and do is type up some minutes, or I'll check out the screen record from this and send it out to us, even if I don't send it out to anybody else. And just, I haven't even put the learning goals, I don't think, up on the website, but just to make sure you guys have all got access to that in shared documents anyway. Anything else that we want to add?
Actually, I will just jump in. Just an interesting discussion I forgot to mention.
Yeah,
It was talking about. I've got a couple of colleagues that I've known for a long time, and they taught me years ago. And the interesting thing is they're people I've invited in, and look, they've by their own admittance said they like to deliver in a certain way.
Yeah.
However, they said it would be nice to know, I guess, what skills that I've got here do transfer into the other models. And like that was, and we ended up talking about, okay, well, like we started having a look at those and then saying, well, this does sit quite nicely in that in this way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was an interesting discussion, and I guess it did offer a little. I know he's certainly more interested in I guess stepping outside of that, knowing that he can use, I guess, some of the things that he feels comfortable with.
So you mean like the commonalities between models? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he was interested in finding
Yeah.
out. Like, he's quite an analytical
Yeah.
type person, and he said, yeah, if I knew that, I'd
Yeah.
probably take a bit more confidence in
Yeah.
stepping out and trying.
And I guess that's what I take out of what Al says about like that inquiry approach. Like for me, I see that that's something that sits across those models. Do you think, Al?
Oh, definitely. And I think I'm sort of reflecting on what Brad said there.
Yeah.
I think it's, for some people, it's where you get your pleasure out of your teaching too. And I know one of the hardest things for me when I shifted to try and be more student-centered was the fact that I actually really liked being the guy up the front, spouting all the knowledge. And to suddenly shift to where the students were more, being led by their own inquiry and working independently, I was sort of left, wondering, what do I do now? And so that's where I had to really reflect on what was important for me, where do I get my enjoyment, and those sorts of things. So, and that's, and so especially if you've been teaching for a while, I think you probably have got into a format where you're under control and you know what to do and you feel comfortable doing that. So,
Yeah, it's I can't think. There's a term my supervisor uses, and he, when we're trying to teach our students to teach in different ways, it shifts them from being like in this pleasantly skilled place where they think they know their sport, but then when we try and shift them to think differently about them, it shifts them to this sort of place where they feel unskilled. And that's what's happening, I guess, with us as teachers. We're being asked to question our pedagogy. This article I've just been reading, it's an old article from Gusky looking at teacher change. And you were saying we need to change their values and their belief system and things like that. But what Gusky is saying is that what we need to do before any of that happens is show improvement in student learning, or show that it's making a difference in the students. So we can't shift values and beliefs until we've seen that. And I guess that for me, Brad, brings back to this assessment and this constant sort of checklist of where you're at. That you are gaining evidence along the way to show the value it's having in the student learning, and maybe that's the ammunition then that you're going to have for your staff to shift their beliefs and values. I don't know whether that's kind of something that's resonated with me thinking about this professional learning model, I guess. So yeah, there we go. All right, Antonio, you're so quiet. We haven't got to hear much from you. Okay, it's okay. Well, I'll be in touch in a few weeks, maybe just before Christmas. My God, Christmas. So yeah, well, in November, way before Christmas. So yeah, and then we'll just hopefully try and catch up. I really want to try and hear from Mike to see how his peer teaching that's going. That blog looks great. So thank you for your time. Sorry I was a bit late, but really good to see you all. And Al, I might give you a ring tomorrow if you're around, or Friday. Are you around Friday?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Take care. Okay. Take care all. See ya. Bye. Bye. Well done, Mike.